Well, let's go to New York. We can speak to the Greek Foreign Minister, Stavros Lambrinidis, who joins us from the United Nations. I wanted to start, how does it feel to be at the centre of a global financial crisis in what many people say is a completely hopeless, unsustainable position?
It doesn't feel good. We're in the middle of a storm. It's a storm that we can only collectively get out of. Greece has to play its major role in this by applying very strict and very difficult fiscal consolidation and structural reform measures that have one main goal, which is to bring the country back into primary surpluses so that the debt of the country gets gradually reduced.
But economically,
this is what the government has been...
But economically, sorry to interrupt, economically it doesn't make sense. I mean, this is only happening for very clear political reasons, isn't it?
No. There's no other recipe if you have very high debts and deficits other than to make some major cuts and make some structural reforms the country needs, irrespective of the debt and deficit. We've had them, whether in health or education or elsewhere, issues in the country that we had promised to change even before the loans and before the programs. However, yes, it is also unquestionable that such major fiscal consolidation measures bring recession. And recession is not the best condition to be in if you're going to be reducing debts, because of course people are out of work, they don't pay taxes and what have you. So the other part of this equation, which is growth, and giving more breathing space to Greece so that the very difficult measures that it takes and the sacrifices that people are making can have the time to bring the results, that part of the equation on the 21st of July was decided upon by all EU member states. Much greater extension of the repayment periods for the loans, much lower interest rate, a participation of European mechanisms in buying bonds in the secondary markets.
But if you weren't...
And of course...
I'm so sorry to interrupt, we haven't got a great deal of time, but if you weren't, Minister, part of the Eurozone, you would default and you would have devalued.
If we were not, you're saying?
Yes.
That is true, and this is exactly the argument about how important it is to be and to remain in the Eurozone. And this is the argument not just that Greece is advancing, but the whole Eurozone has actually committed itself to promote. There are many predictions in the past few months that Greece will collapse at any moment, that the euro will collapse, because of course it's not just Greece but other countries that are in these support programs, that Europe potentially will collapse. All these predictions have been proven false, but that doesn't stop people from continuing to make them. There is no answer to them other than to put our heads down, to apply the tough measures we need to apply, to invest in the competitive advantages of our country and other countries in Europe to do the same for theirs. And in Greece, if you look at the energy potential with the wind and the sun and the water that we have, if you look at the shipping industry or tourism, if you look at agriculture, you look at advanced technologies, we are leaders in most of them in Europe. Investing in them is the hope. We are not going to despair, although many people want us to despair. We are not going to throw our hands up. The Greek people, of course, are not happy. They're not celebrating in the streets. These are extremely tough measures.
They're not celebrating in the streets. They're demonstrating in the streets, Foreign Minister.
Of course, and one would expect that.
And they are extremely...
We are a democracy.
And they are extremely angry. And many people are saying they either pay taxes or they choose to live. How are you going to contain that public anger? Even your tax collectors are out on strike.
I don't intend to contain anything because I'm a democracy. What I intend to do is to convince people, and the vast majority of the Greek people have shown up to now the wisdom. If you look at the measures we've taken and the changes we've made in only 1 year, no other European country in history has ever managed it. From cutting the deficit by 5 percentage points, which is a remarkable contraction of the economy, from reducing 10% of the public employees to all these other changes in only 1 year. Now, this is not easy, but the fact of the matter is we are committed to get out of this difficulty. We are committed to do it, and our partners in the EU are committed to do it together. Anyone who is assuming that Europe will get scared or will abandon this effort or will abandon the euro or will abandon, frankly, betting on the wrong horse. But we know this is not easy. I can assure you, however, that we are doing this with a tremendous amount of understanding of the pain that exists in the Greek people. And so my hope is, if you like, my appeal, my anger, of course.
How far will you go?
How far? In terms of the structural changes, you mean? Well, the goal, of course, is to be able to agree finals that our lenders believe and that we believe are necessary, to apply immediately the decision of the 21st of July that give Greece and Europe the breathing space for this exercise, and then to be able, without recriminations, without pointing fingers, without all this discussion of fear that has been going around the past few weeks and months around Europe and the world about what's going to happen and the worst possible scenario, to sit down and make the changes necessary to change Greece, to change Europe to the better. This, I believe, is going to happen, and I hope, and this is, if you like, my big hope, that we can stop the rhetoric of punishment and move on to a rhetoric of solidarity in Europe and throughout the world. This is to the collective interest of everyone in the world that we get out of this stronger, and I commit, as far as my government and my country is concerned, that we will play our part, we will live up to our responsibilities, to our partners, and we will be successful.
Foreign Minister Stavros Lambrinidis, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the programme there from the UN in New York.
Thank you.